Educating adults and non-adults in the same environment. Today, I'll be talking about the challenge of educating adults and non-adults at the same time in the same environment. To start, I'll define the problem in practice and move to the broader problem in research. Utilizing learning theories to address the problem, I'll describe the theories, how they apply to the problem, and then provide a theory-based solution. In higher education, adult learners, especially in undergraduate dominant settings, are often mixed in with non-adult learners in and out of the classroom. Because adults learn differently than children and non-adults, adult learners in undergraduate environments may not be taught in the methods in which they learn best. As part of my work as a graduate assistant at the Bernhardt Center, I supervise student employees. Within those student employees are students that would fit into the category of adult learner and students who would fit into the category of non-adult learner. How can I help these students learn and train effectively, even though there's a mix of adult and non-adult learners? What can educators do to effectively facilitate the learning of adults and non-adults in the same learning environment? Kenner and Weinerman sum up this problem nicely. They write, as adult learners enroll in their entry-level courses, college instructors will need to realize that these adult learners differ from the traditional college student. Although these differences present challenges for educators, they also provide opportunities for educators to embrace the life experiences and wisdom that these adult learners bring to the collegiate community. Not everyone in this course will have the opportunity to supervise student employees in which there's a mix of adult and non-adult learners. However, learning happens across many contexts and environments. Thus, broad research on adults and non-adults learning in the same environment can be applied to my specific situation and other situations one of you may encounter. The first theory I'll use to study this problem is Cobb's theory of experiential learning. Cobb notes that learning is the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. There are 4 stages learners go through in Cobb's learning process. The first is concrete experience, in which learners involve themselves fully, openly, and without bias in new experience. The second is reflective observation, in which learners reflect and observe their experiences from many perspectives. The third is abstract conceptualization, in which learners create concepts that integrate their observations in their logically sound theories. Lastly, the learners go through active experimentation, in which they use these theories to make sound decisions and solve problems. Based on these learning orientations, Cobb devised 4 learning styles, each made up of 2 learning orientations that can help educators facilitate learning based on the strengths of their learners. In the converging orientation, learners apply ideas in practical situations. In the diverging learning style, learners are imaginative and construct meaning. Assimilating learners see patterns and build theories from their observations. Accommodating learners are doers. They make plans and implement tasks. Cobb notes that effective learners are able to draw from each aspect of the model. Even if learners are not strong in all aspects of the model, effective learners work to build up their strengths and weaknesses. The next theory I'll use to address this problem is Malcolm Knowles' andragogy. Andragogy is any intentional and professionally guided activity that aims at a change in adult persons. Andragogy is comprised of 6 assumptions about adult learners surrounding 1. The need to know, 2. The learner's self-concept, 3. The role of the learner's experiences, 4. The learner's readiness to learn, 5. Their orientation to learning, and 6. Motivation. In exploring this theory in relation to the problem at hand, the third assumption, the role of the learner's experience, is the focus. Adults have a diverse set of experience that is ever present in any learning adults undertake. The role of experience in learning for adults and non-adults will be addressed in further detail when discussing how Cobb's theory of experiential learning and andragogy apply to facilitating learning for adults and non-adults in the same environment. Applying theories to the problem. How does Cobb's theory of experiential learning, andragogy, and experiential learning in general apply to educating adults and non-adults in the same setting? First, let's start with focusing on adults. On andragogy and experience in learning, Knowles, Holden, and Swanson write, for many kinds of learning, the richest resources reside in the adult learners themselves. Hence, the emphasis is on experiential techniques. Thus, it is imperative that the experience of the adult learner be integrated into their education. The authors go on to state, in any situation in which the participants' experience are ignored or devalued, adults will perceive this not only as rejecting their experience, but rejecting themselves as persons. By utilizing the 4 stages of Cobb's model, concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation, instructors, educators, and other facilitators of adult learning can work towards valuing the learner's experience and thus valuing them as a whole. However, what does the literature say about utilizing experience with non-adult learners? Traditional pedagogy would have us believe that children and non-adult learners have no experience to bring to their learning. Rather, it be the instructor's experience that mattered most. However, multiple sources call that idea into question. Kirka claims that some children's experiences can be qualitatively rich. For example, a child that had to care for younger brothers and sisters at a young age could offer rich experience that could be integrated into their learning. Many experiences from pre-adulthood can be valuable in learning. Smith notes, children may not have the accumulation of so many years, but the experiences they have are no less consuming and still have to be returned to, entertained, and made sense of. Based on these statements potentially rejecting the andragogical and pedagogical notion that experience and learning is only for adults and not children, Cobb's theory of experiential learning could be utilized in effectively educating adults and non-adults in the same environment. It seems as if reflecting on experience may be the common link between the two groups of learners. Theory-based solution. As mentioned in Cobb's theory of experiential learning, there are 4 categories of learners: convergers, divergers, assimilators, and accommodators. The challenge for those looking to effectively educate and train adult and non-adult student employees is to incorporate these learning styles and the learning behaviors that comprise these styles into workplace trainings. A potentially effective strategy in honoring all learners' experience while attending to learners with different strengths and experience can be rooted in an exercise called teaching around the circle, which focuses on ensuring a variety of active learning strategies that relate to a range of learning styles to create more powerful, effective learning experiences for adults. For example, to attend to convergers, these types of learners are great at applying ideas to situations. Thus, a workplace training could include a brief lecture of information and then a chance to apply that information in a role-playing activity. This would give adults and non-adults with experience a chance to apply their experience, and adults and non-adults lacking in experience the opportunity to use the lecture information while gaining experience in the role-playing activity. Moving on to divergers. Divergers are imaginative and good at constructing meaning through observation and experience. Thus, in terms of workplace training, a great way for adults and non-adults to learn could be through breaking up into groups and formulating a case study based on what they have observed in past work experiences that they feel is pertinent to the role they're currently in. The groups could write the entire case study, including questions to be answered, and then answer another group's case study. This would appeal to reflective observation by featuring a small group discussion and formulating questions. It would appeal to concrete experience by incorporating the case study aspect. Thirdly, assimilators. Assimilators learn by building informal theories from what they see and observe. Assimilators may benefit from a more traditional instructional method of listening to lectures, watching videos, copying notes, and then drawing conclusions from those presented materials. Lastly, accommodators are considered doers. They learn best by doing. Thus, role-playing activities, like mentioned for convergers, can call on past experience and would be an effective way to train those adults and non-adults who fall into the accommodator category. Therefore, to value the experiences and learning styles of adults and non-adults in the same setting, an effective employee training session could include a lecture video presentation to start, in which the student employees take notes. Then, the group would break up into small groups and write case studies based on the information that was presented. After the groups answered the case studies, a role-playing activity would wrap up the training. The training would touch on all 4 learning orientations, while valuing the experience of the adult, providing enough background information in case the non-adult learner did not have sufficient experience. Adults and non-adults do learn in different ways, which can be a challenge when attempting to facilitate workplace learning through training adult and non-adult student employees in the same environment. However, by utilizing Cobb's theory of experiential learning and Knoll's andragogy, learning can be facilitated by embracing the experience of all learners, supporting learners who have less experience, and utilizing specific activities to touch on the different learning styles each learner might have. Although this may not be a perfect solution to educating adult and non-adult learners together, It is a step in the right direction.